All right, guys, how's everybody doing? Spiritual Big Brother here. Um, this one, I wanted to talk a little bit about perspective. This is a tool I've used for a long, long time. This one goes all the way back to, I think, high school, where I kind of picked it up was, I think, Socrates or something like that. I'm not going to say that I read every book he's ever had. I'm not going to say that I even got through some of his more dense stuff. However, we learned about it, I think, in class, and then I decided to kind of check it out for myself, see what kind of stuff he wrote, and I really got invested in it. But it was thick. I mean, it was, if I remember correctly, the actual hardcover book of whatever it was that I was reading by him was probably thicker than most Bibles. I mean, it was a dense read, and it was hard. But in doing that, even just opening it up, taking a look at the thoughts, the way that he had. I mean, I'm sure that it's changed over time, but the way that it was structured on the paper, its density, etc., and everything that I talked about, it helped me understand what it really meant to see things a different way, a different outlook on life, that kind of stuff. So when I kind of got into that type of a mindset in understanding things a little bit differently, this kind of stuff clicked a lot more for me. So let me give you guys an actual example. This is one that I just wrote about. Totally check out my Medium if you haven't. I'm sure I have all that in the description and on my main channel homepage or whatever is there. I'm still working this kind of stuff out. But I'll leave that article link in there, at least the Medium, for you guys to get there and then check it out. I mean, it's in there somewhere. It's a recent one. So perspective. Here's where I use that tool. Here's how you can kind of see it and think for yourself, but also apply it to so many different things. So the one for me was, I was walking with a friend the other day, and we got into a deep conversation. And I don't remember how we got there. I think we were talking about data centers or something like that. And he was talking about how somebody in a county or something over like that, one of their senators or representatives or something like that, was offered a massive amount of money. We're talking like $500 million to be able to influence their beliefs, their values, that kind of stuff, to make a decision on how they kind of talk about it as a politician. So if you could put yourself in their shoes, even if you are pro-environment and you're a conservative, like I am, about nature and preserving it in some way, you care about it, that kind of stuff. I found myself in like a moral dilemma, and I needed a perspective shift. This is while we were walking, so I actually came up with a more reflexive answer. It was more like, something that I had already kind of conditioned myself to say in situations like this. I basically said, nah, there was no amount of money in the world that would ever make me want to do something like that, like at the cost of the environment. I was just kind of conditioned and trained to say that, but I had to think about it for a while. I had to be like, in conversation, that's what I said. I said I would never do that as we were walking. But then I kind of, on the inside, I started thinking about that for a little bit, even while the conversation was continuing. And I was like, would you really? I was like, 500 million? I was like, really think about what that means. When I look at somebody else that has been given that opportunity, a senator, for instance, and I hear that, I think to myself, well, how could he do something like that? But then I put myself in that situation, and I'm like, 500 million, I could completely start over. I mean, I could, I could be a representative for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and I could retire with that much money and never have to worry about money ever again. And that is like buying freedom. Now, there's some moral dilemmas there that we can talk about, ethical, the destruction of the environment, not cool. But when you really think about it, if you were in that same situation, somebody came up to you and was willing to give you that much money, solve all your problems, start over wherever you want, go somewhere else in the world. I don't care how much principle you have. I don't care how morally pure you are. I don't care how strong-willed you are. when you have a chance to pay off all your debts in a system that you didn't create, hello, I mean, like, you were born into a system that, has financial, that's what it runs on, okay? It runs on an economy, okay? You weren't here to set that up. So it's like, I know where kind of some of the things that would trip me up would be thinking about it that way, that like money shouldn't exist. If you're spiritually, you care about that kind of stuff, and you've heard about how greed is the root of all evil, which to an extent I do believe that. But it's also a means to doing a lot of good too in the system we have. So I think a lot of people kind of lean a little too heavy on one side, and they don't think about the other perspective. You know what I mean? I've been there. That's how I know. And I'm sure I'm talking to an audience that probably can relate to that in some way. So that's the bigger picture. If it was me, let you guys think about it. Maybe pause and reflect for a second here. Think about what you might do with that. But for me, I would take it. But here's what I would do too. And this isn't a fluffy answer. Whatever I have damaged in any way with the environment, I would get myself probably portion of that 500 million, half or whatever. I would put that into efforts of restoring, deforestation, or restoring the environment, or conserving it in some way, or helping become, or maybe not me becoming an advocate, but even, backing somebody else that really cares about that, giving them money to be able to protect it. Maybe not where that data center ended up being, but I would make it right and kind of balance that equation out more across the board. So that's what I would do. And you're entitled to doing it differently. But think about it. What would you do if you had that kind of money? I think if you're really honest, and maybe some people are just sitting here like, oh, that's an easy one. Like, yeah, of course. Well, I would ask you to check your beliefs and, just make sure that, you're not just saying it from impulse. Maybe really think that one over. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool one. And I have an exercise on that too. So I recommend you go check out the article if you like this, and you like reading for that matter too. I definitely, spent a little bit more time, but this one's kind of more live version. And I think it just gets people thinking, and that's what it's really all about. All right, guys, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for being here.